to the Grand Rapids Board of Education meeting. Today is
Mike's not on.
Monday.
Yeah,
There we go.
it is.
There we go. Good evening. Welcome to the Grand Rapids Board of Education meeting. Today is Monday, December 3rd. Please rise with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
O'Connor,
Here.
Randalls.
Present.
Ross,
Present.
Slade,
Present.
Baker,
Here.
Balb,
here.
Eatson here, Hoskins,
Here.
President Lanier.
Present.
All are present.
Need a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda with one modification, that we will go into closed session at the end of this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Great, we have an agenda. Celebrations, we have none. Is that accurate then, Madam Superintendent?
That is correct.
Okay. Report of the student representative. We have one of our student representatives here with us this evening. Do you have a report that you'd like to share at this time? Not at this time? Okay, great. Thanks for being with us tonight. This may be a long one.
She knows the right bus home.
Oh, no.
Okay, so next we have public comment. If there is anyone here who's interested in giving public comment, we have two public comment sections on our agenda. The first one is public comment on board agenda items. So if there's an item on the agenda that you'd like to speak on, you can complete one of the cards that you will find as you enter on both sides of the auditorium here. And you can complete that card and hold it up, and someone will grab that card and bring that to us. And I will also kind of give the background regarding public comment. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. And we have a timer that will start at the beginning of your public comment. And then there's a 1-minute warning. And we'll flag a red card to share that you're at the 1 minute before your end time. And then we'd ask you to conclude at the time of the as the timer bell rings. So that's all I have by way of sharing. And then the secretary will start by calling names for public comment.
Okay, I'm going to call a few names to have you come down. Chris Glass, Jamil Robinson, excuse me if I mispronounce names, Mike Wowie, Reverend Lorenzo Miguel. Start with that.
You can have a seat. Those names who've been called, you can have a seat on the front row if the seats at the table are taken. Thank you. Go ahead, Chris, when you're ready.
All right. Well, my name is Chris Glass, Director of Public Policy for the Grand Rapids Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm pleased to be before the Board of Education and Superintendent Neal, and I wanted to publicly come before you to provide comment specifically on your transformation plan. And all of you should have received a letter from our President and CEO, Rick Baker, that talks about our unanimous support for that plan and things that we're excited about. There are many places I can go in these brief comments, but it's nice to say that there's a great deal to be excited about within this plan as well. And more importantly to us, there's a clear vision that is outlined in this plan. And I think it's important to also mention that I wouldn't ask our board of directors to consider a plan that merely just closed schools. And this plan does much more than that. It shows a vision and a clear path that current parents and future parents can be excited about as a choice for Grand Rapids Public Schools. And that is one thing that our board was excited about. And in addition, it also acknowledges that the landscape of education is changing and has changed. There's more choice, whether for good or for bad, it's there, and it's an option for parents. And how do we put this district in a position to be that choice for parents? I think this plan really gets to that in many different ways for all children, not just some. And I think that's important as well, that all children are served under this plan. And I would also like to say that although this plan puts the district in a position to succeed, it's worth noting that that's only the first step. And I think all of you know that. It's the hard work of the teachers, the administration, the staff, the parents, community partners like the Chamber that will really begin to move the needle on those important measures that we want Grand Rapids to be viewed as. And so you have my commitment as a member of that organization, as an employee of that organization, to walk alongside you. Our board has expressed that interest as well in implementing this transformation plan. We understand that it's a large commitment on your behalf. We thank you for taking up this measure and look forward to strengthening and building our relationship as we move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's Chris's co-counsel.
You can grab a microphone because we are videotaping. And state your name too so that we can keep record of.
Good evening, everyone. I am Kent County Commissioner Mike Wowie Jr. I represent the city of Walker and now the upper, or soon to be the upper northwest side of Grand Rapids, previously northeast side. So I'm here for kind of echoing the same sentiments as my good friend and Chris Glass from the Chamber here. As a GRPS graduate and also former coach and very, very involved in the city of Grand Rapids resident for a lot of years, now reside in Walker. When I was asked to come and talk about this plan and after looking at it, I couldn't be more excited. I had the pleasure of running into a good old friend, Mr. Walker, who was at the time Union High School when I was there, and just some of the great memories I have there, and I think we can continue to do that. I'm also going to first read Commissioner Shana Schroll, who could not be here today, but she has a prepared letter I'd like to read to the board, if that'd be okay. Dear Dr. Neal, as a county commissioner who represents a large portion of the city of Grand Rapids, I have taken great interest in your proposed transformation plan. I admire your approach of being transparent about the challenges facing GRPS. Instead of shying away from these challenges, you have hit them right on the head in a thoughtful and respectful manner. You have articulated the need to proactively invest in what's worked and to stop investing the district's scarce resources in what's not working. Importantly, you've given our parents, teachers, and the community members a chance to react to the plan, incorporating much of their feedback in your final version. From my perspective, the transformation plan is bold, comprehensive, and yet reflects the reality of our school district's current situation. It's the right plan at the right time. Please let me know you have my full and complete cooperation. Commissioner Shana Schroll, District 19.
Thank you.
So that's for Ms. Schroll. And for myself, just once again, after taking the time to really looking at all sides of the plan, I know nothing is perfect, but I really like to echo the sentiments of Chris and say that I'm behind this wholeheartedly. And I also want to thank the board and the district for all of your hard work and your giving to the students and your care towards them. So thank you much.
Thank you. Call a few more names.
Jamil Robinson, not here.
He's coming.
Okay. And then Lorenzo Miguel
You can come.
and Terry Gao, Bolay, Mary Bowensi.
Jamil, since you have the microphone, we'll start with you then.
All right, good evening, Superintendent and Board. First off, I'd just like to start off by commending Superintendent Neal and the Board for all the hard work and time they put into the transformation plan. It's exciting what this plan offers the students of this district. Myself being a GRPS graduate, proud Indian, so just extremely excited of what this plan offers. So just being a community advocate and working with a lot of the kids in the district in my current position at the YMCA, and just seeing the promise that the kids have, and seeing that you're reinvesting and doubling down on the fact that GRPS can and is and will continue to be the district of choice for Grand Rapids if this community is to have a brighter future. So just wanted to commend you for that and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Pastor Lorenzo Miguel, and proud of 4 kids. They were in the Grand Rapids Public School, and now they're pursuing a little further in the college and the universities. And I behalf my kids, I'm proud of many kids. Thank you so much for the hard work. The kids is being success. Let me read a letter, but I'm asking you, forgive me for some names mispronunciation. I can pronounce it very well in Spanish. Superintendent Teresa Neal, Señorita. Señorita means Senator Oliner, Board of President, Grand Rapids Public Schools Board of Education, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Greetings to Superintendent Neal and the Grand Rapids Public School Board of Education. We would like to formally commend you and the district leadership for developing a visionary, balanced, and equitable transformation plan. As Latino religious leaders, we represent hundreds of families that desire the best of their kids and want the educational system to serve their needs. Many of our kids are experiencing success, yet most struggle to achieve, lose interest, and drop out of school prematurely. At times of difficult decisions and choices need to be made. And this is such a time because it is about the kids we see in our churches and in the community. We appreciate several elements of the plan. First, the attention of Union High School to ensure that students there have access to excellent education opportunities. The possibility of adding a high school to the Southwest Community Campus at Grand Rapids Public School, success story and community treasure. The reopening of Stocking School, which never should have been closed. The location of all 4 centers of innovation, high schools, and 1 central campus. The inclusive planning process of listening, adapting, and responding to community concerns. The strategic investments in excellence, choice, and sustainability. It's our belief that Grand Rapids cannot claim to be a community of excellence until all students have access to quality education opportunities. We believe that Superintendent Neal's Transformation Plan 2.0 takes us closer to that goal than ever before. Our role as a clergy in to bring hope, encourage people, bring unity and focus on that's most important in life. Best regards, we encourage your full support for the plan and for all the children who stand to benefit from this opportunity. We'll see. Best regards from Pastor Florencio Aguilar, Iglesia Asamblea Cristiana, Pastor Manuel Vázquez, Iglesia Pentecostal Príncipe de Paz, Pastor Alberto López, Iglesia de Dios de Sion, Pastor Alex Fernández, Upper Room Bilingual Church, Pastor Jorge Morales, Iglesia Casa de Oración, Bishop Julián Guzmán, Missionary Church of Christ, and myself, and 7 more I can read for the time. But thank you so much for all your work. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Whoever's next.
Terry? Jack Prince, why don't you come down, and Jane Neiman?
Thanks, sir.
It's just about the legislation.
My name is Terry Gall, and I'm a teacher for Grand Rapids Public Schools. And I want to thank you for letting me have a chance to speak. I gave you a handout there about a video, so all I want to do is bring your attention to that. I think from the comments, you probably all saw that video. Has anybody not seen it? I encourage you to take a look at it and see it. I just want to bring up a couple of points that she makes. For you out in the crowd, that's a video. called Needed a Million Michigan Voices for Public Education. It is from the superintendent of Oakland Schools. Her name is Dr. Vicki Markovich, and she gives a great explanation of what is going on in Lansing with the new laws wanting to reform schools, school funding, and schools of choice. And reform is in quotations. She calls these the legislation that has been being considered and has already been passed as being radical and dangerous to public education. She says that it is untried and untested forms of schooling that are exempt from oversight from our state superintendent of schools and also our elected state school board. It is a system of schools that is totally separate from and in competition with our community-governed schools. She sets the stage in there for what's been going on over 20 years. There's been a persistent group of people who have been pushing for public monies to support private forms of schools. In other words, voucher system, which I'm sure everybody's heard that term. She says that the Michigan voters have defeated that soundly 2 times in the past 20 years. But still, she says these few have persisted and have been joined by profiteers seeking to corporatize public education that has built this country. She says they have an agenda to denounce and defund public education. They are well-financed and strategic, and they are succeeding in our state. They have done this, they have justified this by casting doubt into public education. And she says that this doubt is not justified at all. They have misrepresented facts, and it is a deliberate misrepresentation. And this video gives you those facts at the end of it, okay? You look at this video, the video is 12 minutes and 59 seconds long, and that includes the ending where she discloses her sources and the data that's been misrepresented. She says that the facts show you that the more graduates now in this time, more graduates are attaining bachelor degrees, and when you adjust for poverty, we are actually #1 in the world, our public education system. Okay, and you can see all that, like I say, if you go to this video. She says that we definitely have a problem. Our system needs improvement, like all systems do, and especially how to get our kids that are in poverty to score higher. I think she believes, like I do, that this country is upside down. We should have our finest schools. Well, we do have fine schools in low socioeconomic areas, but they should have the same funding that the schools out in the suburbs do, if I may be, plain, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Gill. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Timer's up.
Am I past 3 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, okay.
And-
Anyways, please listen, watch the
Thank you
video.
for this, absolutely. And if I can just give the disclaimer, because we have so many people who are interested in giving public comment this evening, when you hear the timer, we will ask you to end your comments at that time.
I was looking for the red.
Yeah, she was
I
trying
held
to
it.
get it to your face.
Yeah, look
So
up
just
every
out of
once in a
respect
while.
for everybody's time, we will be honoring that a little bit more closely this evening. Thank you.
Madam
Please
President?
state your name too at some point.
Bowens.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam President, board members, Superintendent Neal, and student representative, my name is Mary Bowens, and as the GREA Vice President, I would like to take the opportunity to read a prepared statement from our President, Paul Helder. Good evening. I apologize for being absent tonight, but I have been called to an emergency conference of the MEA Board of Directors, which began at 6:30. As the purpose of this meeting is to discuss upcoming lame duck legislation, I determined that it was in the more immediate interest of the district, the GREA, and the community for me to be a part of the debate and subsequent action plan rather than to be with you here tonight. I would also like to apologize to the teaching staff at Union High School who are here tonight to voice their concerns about the language in the superintendent's consolidation plan, which would seem to indicate an interest in the possibility of adopting a hiring practice that would be counterproductive on several levels. Rest assured that your GREA leadership shares your concerns. As to the business at hand, tonight the GREA again encourages the board to delay its approval of the superintendent's consolidation plan until after the end of the state's lame duck session. Representative Lyons' irresponsible and destructive plan to remove the property rights of incorporated school districts like GRPS is most likely to become law when some of those voting know that they will not be in office during the law's implementation. Waiting an extra week for the end of the lame duck session gives GRPS some measure of additional certainty as to the disposition of the bill in question and reduces the likelihood of a catastrophic financial error occurring as a result of a premature vote. Thank you for your time. Paul Helder.
Thank you.
Jack Prince, Jane Neiman, Linda Jeanette, and Roslyn Charles Mayer, and James White, if you guys could come down.
There's seats in the front row if you can come down to the front row and make it easier to. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Esteemed board members, Superintendent Neal, I would like to read a letter that has been signed by 50 of the union school teachers, some of which are in the room with me, but I do represent their letter and would like to read the letter at this time. We, the undersigned, Grand Rapids School public teachers, stand united in our resolve and non-acceptance of specific segments from the superintendent's proposal for school transformation. We specifically object to the Teach for America clause, which indicates that non-certified, non-highly qualified staff would be considered as replacements for displaced GREA positions. Additionally, we find the recommendation for alternative education to be chartered as also unacceptable as a solution. We find these initiatives to be unacceptable on the grounds that the use of unskilled, non-certified, non-highly qualified staff will be an absolute detriment to student achievement. We believe that parents and other members of the community would object strongly to the use of non-certified, non-qualified, non-professional staff as well. We believe the implementation of these measures would have an extremely negative impact on enrollment and would furthermore give a negative impression to the community of the viability and professionalism of our instructional staff. This viability and professionalism of our teaching staff makes an extremely important impression upon our community. It is one of the most important factors determining whether parents will entrust the education of their children with GRPS over other schools. For many years now, GRPS has made it a policy for important decisions such as this to be data-driven. However, there has been no data whatsoever provided to indicate the efficacy of charter schools or Teach for America teachers over our current instructional model of certified and highly qualified teachers in terms of student achievement. In fact, there is much data that may be found giving evidence to the contrary. It is indeed a fact that the Union High School students achieved AYP twice within the past 7 years, only to be disqualified on a technicality each time. Once that the graduation rate was not submitted by the deadline by an administrator, and another time that it was missed by a single student. Our review of data indicates that student achievement has improved in important areas over the past several consecutive years. This data is a testament to the dedication and efficacy of our current teaching staff in producing an increase in student achievement, despite the numerous and drastic cuts to resources over the last decade. In conclusion, it is for this reason that we are contacting you directly with this grievance instead of resorting to contacting media or community at large. We trust that you regard our complaint with the utmost consideration in terms of the achievement effects upon our students and hence the image of our schools in the community. It is with this hope that we respectfully insist, beseech, and implore you to remove the Teach for America and the chartering of alternative schools from the transformation plan in consideration for the future achievement and progress of our students in our schools. We write this in the faith that your decisions will be made in the best interest of student achievement, which can be best impacted in a positive way by committed, caring, seasoned, certified, and highly qualified professional staff as the current one. I would conclude, lastly, that we know this falls upon the ears of those concerned with student achievement. We know also that you have the utmost responsibility of preserving and protecting the relationship between the public and the school. That is a public school. Thank you.
Thank you. You didn't state your name. Can you state that too for the record?
Yes, my name is Jack Prince, and I am a teacher at Union High School.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Prince.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members, administrative and teaching staff, and other GRPS community members. I am speaking to you tonight on behalf of my colleagues, but mostly on behalf of my students. My name is Jane Neiman, and I am a teacher, coach, class, and club advisor at Union High School. I have been working in GRPS now for more than 6 years. I am a highly qualified, highly dedicated employee of this district. Upon hearing the superintendent's future plans for the district, I reviewed the transformation plan. I agree that changes need to be made to impact higher student achievement for all students. However, the idea to bring in Teach for America to staff the buildings with lower achieving students will, in my opinion, be the wrong choice for our students. In my 6 years at GRPS, I have been in 3 buildings. Every time staff is changed and moved around, it is detrimental to students. As you know, the relationships we establish with students, parents, administration, and support staff are the most important part of teaching in an urban school. The first year in a new building for any staff member is a time of getting to know the people and students they work with. Teachers need time to build trust, show they care, and interact with students on a daily basis, sometimes for months before the benefits of relationships will show. Parents who know the teachers in a school have an advantage because they are familiar with them and feel better knowing their child is with someone that is concerned and that they recognize. A school is a team made up of different players who each have a role in the education of their students. You cannot just throw people on a team and expect it to work, or replace half of a team and expect it to succeed immediately. That is why I beg you not to consider bringing in Teach for America. Even though Teach for America teachers do have bachelor degrees, they receive only weeks of training in classroom management and pedagogy before they are put in an educational setting with only sometimes days of experience. Their motivation for doing this is to have the expenses of their undergraduate or graduate education paid for. A majority of them leave the teaching profession after 2 years, the minimum time they are required to teach. I ask you, how will these people replace the highly qualified, extremely dedicated teachers such as myself? The first year will be chaos, and it will only increase the instability and upheaval with which our students and community have become entirely too familiar. They also will not have the experience, training, and relationships with these students needed to help our kids succeed. I am not saying they cannot learn these things, but should we really adopt a program that has no track record or data that proves it works better than what we have? I think there is too much at stake, and time is not on our side. Union High School showed significant gains in test scores last year. We only missed AYP by 1 student leaving the country, which was beyond our control. I believe the gains we showed are proof that keeping most of the same staff in the building will further improve the educational success of our students. The staff at Union came together as a team to work hard at changing the culture of learning at our school. We have more work to do, but please let us continue to do it. We have already had a change in leadership this year. And I close with, we have been loyal to our school and our district. We care about our students and our school. Please do not let money or political pressure guide your decision-making at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, board members, President Lanier, Superintendent Neal, and Destiny. Stellar young lady. Stellar. As a staff, Union High School wrote a letter on Tuesday, November 27th regarding the transformation plan for the district. We did not receive a response, and thus we are here on behalf of Union High School. There are several changes made to Union High School in the plan, including initiating a 50% staffing turnover. This forced turnover would necessitate a plan for filling positions. And although the plan discusses several ways in which to tap into talent for such schools as Union and Westwood, it includes the use of Teach for America as potential recruits for Grand Rapids Public Schools. We are asking to have this clause removed from the plan. In addition to a bachelor's degree from a credential university and successful completion of Michigan certification testing to prove content knowledge, teaching applicants to GRPS must have completed both a rigorous undergraduate program in education and successful real-world experiences in the classroom. Teach for America requires little more than a bachelor's degree. No knowledge of child development is required. No knowledge of child psychology. No knowledge of or experience with children is required. You need only have a graduate college degree and between a C and a C+ average. As teachers, to allow an inexperienced person with no experience in a school or credit work in early childhood or adolescent education is a mockery of the profession. However, the misguided decision to use Teach for America personnel does more than tragically harm the teaching profession and the public school district. The biggest tragedy befalls on our school children. Professional teacher is one who understands that content alone will not engage a child. A professional teacher understands the varying degrees of relationships that occur in the classroom. Teaching, in its authentic form, means understanding of the subtle nuances that come with introducing a short story or a novel, a problem, or a science experiment. Teaching means considering the development of a student and applying his or her own growth. I truly believe the Teach for America clause was included without an understanding of a program or its use of an inexperienced pool of applicants as teachers. I would like to talk about removing this clause and, as an option, take a look at the growing number of successful teachers in our district, if overturning 50% of the staff at Union is a reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosalind, can you state your name for the record? We have Julie over here who's keeping track of that, and we want to make sure she captures that.
Rosalind Charles Knocker.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Board. My name is Linda Jeanette. I am a teacher of biology and chemistry at Union High School. And I'm here because I am also very worried about this proposition of using Teach for America people to staff Union High School because we must implement a transformational model. I'm worried obviously about teachers losing their jobs, but also for our students' education. And so I have some questions to pose to you. If swapping out 50% of the teachers in a priority school is necessary to turn a school around, then should we not put the best teachers in those positions? I do not believe that putting completely inexperienced people into a priority school will be a solution to our problems and a help to our students. Secondly, why shouldn't we look at all the highly effective teachers that are in our district already and move them into these priority schools? Let's use the data that we're collecting about who is effective in the district and utilize their talents to turn this school around. Another thing, why do we still have long-term subs at Union? If there's an open position, why can't we move teachers as needed into the priority schools? I know that seniority is not as much of a problem any longer with moving people around, especially with the state government that we have. So fully staff our school, all of the priority schools, with effective teachers. And perhaps that will help our students. Totally inexperienced people in our building will not. One more thing. Do we want Grand Rapids Public Schools to be regarded in the same manner as the other school systems that employ Teach for America people? They go into the most struggling district in the nation, like Washington, New York, Miami, Chicago, St. Louis, rural southern schools, and Detroit. Detroit is the only district in Michigan that has Teach for America people. Do we want the greater Grand Rapids community to pigeonhole us that way? I understand the financial incentive for this idea, replaced experienced and expensive teachers with people on the very first step. But is this really in our students' best interest? Is this the excellence we strive for? Thank you.
Yeah.
Brett Beamers, Matt Patulski, Paul DeVries, and Tom DeYoung. Down in front, please.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board and Superintendent Neal. I come tonight as a private citizen to encourage you to move forward with the transformation plan, and I'll give my reasons for it. First, the way it was developed. It began with I thought, excellent listening tour by the superintendent. People who participated in it were parents. There were a lot of parents who were involved, as well as professional teachers and others. It was a very transparent process, and that was impressive. It also includes a vision of achievement that rises above the need for saving money. It has the three major parts of the team, I believe. It requires high effort from the students. It requires high expectations by the parents. And it requires high quality work by the teachers. Also, the overall plan, I believe, is sound. It recognizes that there is big change in the works. That big change is not simply coming from you as a board, it's coming from our whole world, which is changing. It's a big change, but then you recognize, at least in the plan, the goal toward or the striving toward stability, which then leads to predictability, which in turn provides the basis for developing the indicators that are needed for evaluating progress. Then there is my own position and experience in the area of economic development. The plan recognizes what I think is really important, and that is the absolute need for strong education for the economic well-being of the city of Grand Rapids. Now, there will be many decisions that will yet have to be made in the process of implementation. No plan implements itself. It will require a great deal of decision-making. Nevertheless, what I looked for in the plan was whether or not there was sufficient flexibility to make it work. I believe that if we join our hearts, heads, and hands, get behind Superintendent Neal, that we can achieve excellence in every way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brett Beamers, I think, is next, and then Matthew Patulski.
There are plenty of seats.
Hi, my name is Brett Beamers. My daughter's a student, fourth grade student at North Park Montessori, and I'm happy about the changes that I've read about. I like the idea that it's strengthening the whole kind of Plainfield corridor through there, that whole urban center too. And yeah, I'm happy with all the changes. My dad actually went to Creston, so I never thought my daughter would actually go there too. So, and I think it's a good idea because, you know, a lot of money went into that school, and I like to see that place stay open. So,
Thank you.
Superintendent Neal, hello. Board President Lanier, board members, good to see you all tonight. For the record, my name is Matthew Patulski. I'm a GRPS parent, 2 boys at North Park Montessori, and I'm a former PTA officer. And I'm remarkably nervous. I don't know why. I've been here so many times.
I'm shocked. We know you will, man.
Well, you've made others nervous.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, I'll go ahead. I'll be as quick as I can. You have prepared remarks, so if I run out of time, you can read those at home. But I just want to say, I want to speak about the plan. First of all, thank you. Thank you for this plan. It's a solid plan. It's good for my kids, and it's good for their friends. You know what?
You want us to just read it, Matt? Would that help if we just read it?
Yeah.
That's what we'll do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nan.
Who do we have? Paul DeVries, Tom DeYoung.
Did you complete a card?
Ainsley, Elizabeth Ransford.
One of the names that have been called already? Oh, we'll call your name.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's probably 30 people ahead of you.
He's used to deciding to use the mic.
That was slick, though. Superintendent of the Christian school system, you know, just take over anybody's slot. I love it.
I am,
Okay, so we have Paul DeVries, Tom DeYoung, Jill Ainsley, Elizabeth Ransford, Rebecca Smith Hoffman, please come down.
Hi, I am Reverend Paul DeVries. I'm here simply as a citizen of the community wishing to express my support for the transformation plan, and not so much the specifics of the plan, but just what I gather to be the spirit of the plan. The thoughtful way you've gone about this, the way you're listening to the community, and I very much appreciate that and respect that. Also, as a pastor of an area church here in town, I wish to express my prayers for all of you. I don't actually know what Tom is here to say, but as a parent of Christian school children myself, I know how painful it is to consolidate schools.
Absolutely.
My kids went to Seymour, they went to Millbrook Christian. Those schools have been consolidated. It's not an easy process, it's difficult. There are strong feelings, and so I'm really here tonight just to let you know that I'm praying for all of you as you make this decision. And I know that although in some ways you could say the Christian school system is in competition with the public school system, I would like to believe that we are companions for our community, and it is to all of our benefit for Grand Rapids Public Schools to succeed and to do this well. So just be assured of our prayers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, for praying for the public schools. Now let's make sure we also pray for the Christian schools.
Got your back.
Hi, my name is Tom DeYoung. I'm the superintendent at Grand Rapids Christian Schools. I'm not here representing the entire Grand Rapids Christian Schools Board of Trustees. Certainly they can represent themselves well, but I am here to certainly speak on behalf of this plan. Grand Rapids Christian has gone through a very significant transformation of its own in the last 9 years, and the transformation has not come without pain, and it has not come without angst, and it has not come without anger. However, that is then, this is now. What has happened at Grand Rapids Christian is a result of some very wise Board of Trustees members, and I think from solid administrative leadership, as well as the tremendous support of our community. We are a different system today than we were 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. We are in a much different place financially, from a sustainability perspective, and actually, in fact, also from a momentum and energized perspective. What the Board of Education at Grand Rapids Public has an opportunity to do right now is to move forward. One thing for sure from my experience, having worked in public ed and in private ed for a number of years now, is to do nothing will ensure continued duplications of resources, duplicated expenses, things that you don't need to spend tax dollars on, federal dollars on, and other state dollars on. You, in fact, have an opportunity through this plan to focus your resources on teachers, kids, programs, and the quality of the system itself. So I really encourage you to think through and to sift through the emotion, to sift through the opportunities that exist for kids and on behalf of the system. As I look at the plan, it's a good plan. I was a custodian at Shawnee Park School for 5 years. I was a teacher there for 3 years, and I had my son at Ridgemore Child Development Center. Two schools that are now no longer going to be, potentially. It's sad, but it's necessary, and good things happen and are around the corners. I really encourage you to stay strong. It's tough, but strong people stay strong. Dr. Neal, you've done a fantastic job. I have a letter that I'll give to you. Not these thoughts, but additional thoughts that you are welcome to share with the board as well.
Thank you.
My name is Jill Ainsley.
I'm a lifelong resident of Grand Rapids, a Red Hawk, as was my father, and a proud grandparent of students at City Middle in Grand Rapids, Montessori. I'd like to thank the superintendent and board for the positive direction and unprecedented support being made available to successful programs. I'm a teacher at Grand Rapids Montessori and serve on the Montessori Advisory Council. I'm here to advocate for the growth planned in Montessori to be implemented with integrity and fidelity to the Montessori method. The following are essential elements. An active and open recruitment for Montessori credentialed teachers should be maintained. All teachers in Montessori must be Montessori trained and certified for the level they will be teaching. We must have Montessori trained teachers in place before the school year begins. Every classroom must be fully equipped with a full complement of Montessori materials. Ongoing Montessori-specific professional development and in-services provided by experienced, credentialed Montessori educators is essential. Your commitment to grow the Children's House is right on target. A pyramid with the Children's House as the base provides the ideal model for growing this program. We need to continue to build from the ground up. Montessori education is most successful when there is a flow from Children's House upward. Through their work, children develop a positive attitude towards school, a sense of order, pride in the physical environment, abiding curiosity, habits of concentration, initiative, and persistence, the ability to make decisions, a sense of independence, self-confidence, self-discipline, and responsibility to other members of the community. This work begins in the Children's House at age 3. Montessori curriculum is implemented worldwide and adapts well to multicultural settings. It is known to be culturally salient. The Montessori program can help Grand Rapids Public Schools become a world-class performing school district. Done well, this can be a gift to the community. I applaud the support pledged to the Montessori community, or to the Montessori program. I encourage the board to monitor our progress and hold us to a high standard. I hope you will commit to provide the level of support necessary to offer an authentic Montessori experience to all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Hoffman Ransford. I'm the co-chair of the East Hills Council of Neighbors, an East Hills neighbor and a parent. I've come to talk about the place of Congress Elementary School in the transformational plan. Many months ago, the East Hills Council of Neighbors expressed its commitment to making the success of Congress Elementary School a neighborhood priority through our East Hills Loves Congress initiative, because we recognize that Congress is a vital resource in the center of our community. We recognize its potential to be a vibrant neighborhood school for all the children in our community. On behalf of the East Hills Council of Neighbors, I want to thank Superintendent Neal and the board for listening to us. We are pleased and excited that Congress is to be a site for reinvestment under the transformational plan. At this time of difficult decisions, we are committed to making this a wise investment through the involvement not only of our families, but also neighborhood businesses, community members, and local institutions who also have a stake in the success of our school. We at East Hills look forward to our community district partnership being a model for other neighborhoods, and we thank you for your vision and your support.
Thank you.
I'm going to call, we have Rebecca up next, then Mary Beth Jelks, Claire Fisher, Deborah Hyde, I think I said that wrong, I'm sorry. Ed Kettle. Please come forward.
I'm Rebecca Smith Hoffman. I'm also here to speak about Congress School, and thank you for your support in designating us a school of reinvestment. Congress has played a vital role in our neighborhood for 139 years. A school has sat on that spot since 1873. And before that, for a few years, there was even a two-room schoolhouse that served the small number of children that were there. I recently completed a historic study, and I read about 139 years of school board minutes. And two things came out while I was sitting here listening to everyone, and I've been hearing about this plan. Two important things. There were always problems. There's always been problems. I think 1847 was the start of public schools in Grand Rapids, and along with those problems, there's never been enough money. And always the decisions that you have to make are difficult ones. And we thank you for supporting us, for supporting the East Hills Loves Congress effort, and for supporting our very talented principal and staff. We think that with all of us working together, hopefully we can take Congress 139 years further in the neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mary Beth Jokes, Claire Fisher.
Hello, my name is Claire Fisher, and I am the community organizer at East Hills Council of Neighbors, and the third and last person to speak, I believe. So, wanted to just go on three brief points. First point is we commend Superintendent Neal, the school board, for having been and continuing to be a receptive sounding board to the East Hills community. It's very important to us, and we really want to let you know that very strongly, that we appreciate that. Secondly, we feel the transformation plan, while being an adjustment district-wide, will be a positive step forward for GRPS and Grand Rapids as a whole. Its emphasis on community schools gives me personally great hope for the future of Grand Rapids children. And finally, we are inspired by our continued partnership with Grand Rapids Public Schools and Congress Elementary School. The neighborhood is wholeheartedly invested in Congress's success, and we intend on leading by example in this regard, and to put the walk in our talk, and a lot of energy. And so, again, we just want to let you know that we fully support the transformation plan, and thank you so much for all that you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Good evening, Superintendent Neal. Let me first of all thank you for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. I do want to thank Superintendent Neal for her effective leadership in going through this difficult process. I believe I was at the original meeting that the board discussed this at, as well as I attended 2 of the school closings. And so I am very well aware of how complex this issue is and how difficult of a challenge it is for you to come to some conclusion on it. Because I do know how that 3-minute timer works, I am going to just go over the 7 points I want to go over, but I do want you to know that our 2 children are graduates of the GRPS, and we're very, very thankful for that education. I was a private school person myself, but my husband and I have always been a supporter, and we've pretty much voted for every millage and been very involved in as volunteers for the district. So we are highly invested in its success and ongoing future. There are 7 things I want to mention real quick. Every public sector organization I know is going through a very painstaking consolidation. Do not think you are alone. That's just the reality of public funding from the federal government, from the state government, and it's not going to change. Private sector, I'm glad that Mr. DeYoung and those were here, because my house is across the street from the new Christian school, elementary schools. They consolidated 5 Christian schools for some of the same reasons. So it is not in a vacuum that you are going through this difficult task. These buildings were built in the 20th century, many of them that you have, and they were built to last 100 years. I started my legal practice in engineering law, and I'm telling you,
even all the city facilities, were built to last 100 years, and they have. But you can't continue to fill them as they once were. Times have changed. And so no matter what equation you work with, you cannot consolidate them fast enough to become fiscally sustainable. The transformation plan is comprehensive. Any school closing must be carefully thought out with a transition plan because it does have an impact on the neighborhood. I really like some of the plans that you have relative to that. And then citizen expectations. I work for a public sector entity, and I want all the employees to know you have a lot of fine teachers in this district, and they do a great job. They're highly committed. But I am telling you all what I know of what the citizens say for our own public sector employees is that this is a competitive environment, and all options have to be on the table. And public sector employees are now in a situation where the citizens' expectation is they want choice. I agree with some of the criticism about the charter schools, but at the end of the day, the choice is what the citizens want. So you have to compete with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to call a couple more up here. We have Deborah and Ed, Don Williams, Dave Van Dyke, Lupe Ramos.
Good evening, Superintendent and Grand Rapids School Board.
Good evening.
I'm Deborah Ide, and this evening I am here officially as the Executive Director of the Creston Neighborhood Association. I want to preface the reading of my formal comments by thanking you, Superintendent Neal, for your transparency and accessibility to us during this last month, which has been a bit of a roller coaster ride. I'm also going to say that my comments contain a yay, rah, rah, go team opener, and then a couple of questions, particularly about the closing of Creston and the relocation of those students. We'd like to just ask you to think a little bit creatively as you're going into the voting on this plan. Dear Superintendent and board members, as the Neighborhood Association, which has long advocated for the importance of strong public schools in our city, we are relieved and happy with the news that the Creston High School building will now remain open as the new home to City High Middle. The great news for the area is that City High Middle will, in its new home, be able to grow and attract new families to our neighborhood. Our neighbors' big concern of a vacant building in the heart of the North Quarter Business District has been ameliorated. To recognize and honor the many successful alumni of Creston High School, including the superintendent herself and I believe our president of the board, we respectfully suggest that the program be named City High Middle at Creston. There is concern that the closing of Creston High as a North End program which serves all our families has the potential to cause further loss in its ripple effect throughout GRPS. Families looking at options in our area will find a number of K-8 programs with few choices for secondary. One creative solution to support excellence and choice is to transition Creston's existing comprehensive program to an open enrollment international baccalaureate curriculum offered to all entering freshmen. I'm going to close by commenting about the Central High relocation of the Creston High students. I want to share with you that the GRPS students came to a meeting that CNA hosted, and all of them pointed to the peaceful coexistence of the GRPS program within the Creston Traditional School and challenged the Board of Education and ourselves to really think about whether or not that model might address some of the concerns of City High parents worried about cohabitating, so to speak, in that Creston High building. And we'd like you to rethink that. And I will leave a written copy of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent and board members, I was sitting over there for a moment thinking this is the first time I've ever addressed you as the grandparent of a Grand Rapids Public Schools student. So that's pretty
you're old.
I am old. You know, we teach our kids about choices, making good choices, and I'll lather you a bit by saying I think that the voters made a good choice when they elected all of you. I think you're one of the most intelligent and thoughtful boards we've had, and it's a rare combination because it's always a crapshoot in elections, you know. So that's good, and that's important, because if you make decisions in an era of frustration and anger, you don't make good decisions. And you guys are pretty pensive, and you hash this stuff out, and you do pretty well. One of the best choices you made, of course, is selecting the superintendent. I think the first time we saw each other after you were selected, I approached you and I said, Teresa, I haven't felt this district settle down like this since, and we simultaneously said Pat Sandro. And we both have memories that go back that far, unfortunately. But when you select a homespun person who has invested as much as you have into this district with your heart and soul, people recognize that. They see that. Your decisions are based on not what's best for your resume or some high-flying ideas you come rolling in here with. It's your experiences and what you really think is best. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to you that I've read this plan and know it intimately. I've talked to the board members about it, and I've seen the high points and the bad points. I'll just say from public opinion, you know, people still call me for every reason. They call me if their TV doesn't work. I get it all, you know. But you know, most of the calls I've got, most conversations, grocery store conversations I've had have been really very supportive of this thing. And that to me is not alarming, but welcome, and something that you need to consider, I guess, because you sure have had enough of the other side roll through here over the years. So I guess the quality of this plan speaks for itself. You know, I know the teachers have some issues that I see, and I'm sure that you do too. I won't second guess you or question you on those. But I encourage you to move forward with it. I know what's going on in Lansing. I live down there with those knuckleheads, and it's not pretty, and I think whatever you suspect might happen probably will. So go forward with your plan and keep representing the kids and families as you do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ed, can you say your name for the record
I'm
for
sorry.
Julie, please?
Ed Kettle, in case you didn't know.
Don Williams, Dave Van Dyke. Faye Ramos. Mercedes Tui. Ellen James.
Your comment is easy. I did check.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Dyke, parent. Thank you, board and superintendent, for a chance to talk. Wife and I have lived in Northeast Grand Rapids all our lives. Because of the proposed plan, we've been reflecting this Thanksgiving and what we valued about sending our 5 children to Grand Rapids Public Schools. They attended Palmer, Riverside, and Creston, some Zoo School in Blandford. 3 were accepted at City, 2 chose to go to Creston anyway. Overall, all of their experiences were very positive. The son that did go to City also participated in extracurricular music at Creston. Among the many reasons our family chose Creston in particular was that it featured diversity in many ways. While there are some students at Creston that are not serious academically, many are. Cross-section of cultures at Creston reflects that of the world at large and prepares students to deal with such a world, understanding and valuing their motivations and personalities. I think that if you talk to families and staff that have been involved in both Creston and City, the effects can be synergistic and instructive to both rather than harmful. It may seem better to keep all the students apart, but that has some logic flaws. They can't stay segregated forever, at least to live fully and effectively. This process also encourages an elitist attitude that we are the best students and they are not good students. That is just not always true. We all need exposure to counterexamples in order to see the whole truth of the variety of people in the world and then what we can accomplish together. Our kids walked to school K through 12 for the most part, often with neighbors who are still friends. That linking of neighborhood, neighbors, and local institutions like school and church are a big part of why we live in the city. We've been seeing a new generation move into the city, partly due to the economy, that value the same kinds of things. I fear the end of Creston High School as a neighborhood school will lead to the next generation opting out of Grand Rapids Public Schools completely. I see an opportunity for GRPS to establish a foothold with the new generation of parents and students that value an urban and inclusive life experience. In the absence of even a plan for a neighborhood high school in the future in Northeast Grand Rapids, I think the Northeast Corridor Initiative for businesses and the Neighborhood Association's efforts to keep improving the quality of life here will be a steeper uphill battle. I hope you'll reconsider eliminating a general high school opportunity in Northeast Grand Rapids. Thank you very much for the plan. I understand that you have a lot of issues to consider.
Thank you.
My name is Donald Williams Sr. I'm the president of the Grand Rapids Black Chamber of Commerce and Concerned Citizens Council. I am a certified teacher as a former dean at Grand Valley State University, and I understand education probably as well as many. I want to thank this board very, very much for your wisdom of A, hiring Teresa Neal, B, holding the line so that you stand accountable and are very public with the presentation of your school transformation plan number 2.0. I think that's what it was, the last one. I just want to say a few words. I do not wish to be redundant, but we want you to know the Black Chamber of Commerce will walk with you. And you should call upon some of the talented people that are in that particular group. I would like to also say that an interesting point for me is we've heard so much about our school system, and we hear more negative about the population, the declining grades, and the number of graduates, and so forth. And then people of your stature have come up with a plan. And yet, we have so many people now, sort of like Congress, have their own individual plans of what you ought to do. You've asked them to give it to you, tell you what they want. They've done that, but you can't do everything that everybody wants. So please understand, many of us understand it. Now, our hope is that people understand that we're not talking about buildings. I like your comment, you know, we're not talking about buildings. We're talking about creating an educational climate that our children can not only prosper, but that our community will sustain it and it'll persevere. I'd like to say, Ms. Neal, that this picture on the front of the Grand Rapids Times is one of the, I like this picture. Like this picture. Your comments in it were very nice, and they also are stimulating. I'd like to say that do not forget the neighborhoods. Do not forget the small businesses in the neighborhoods. As you make this transformation, there are millions and millions of dollars that are going to be flowing back and forth and around. It'll be very disappointing to many of us in this community to find out that, again, we were left out of the picture. And it just so happens that, well, next time we transform the school system, you'll be included. And we don't want to wait that long. I'd like to end with just this. To date, we have had all the talent, certified teachers, certified in child development, doctors, all kind of talent in the school system, and yet it is still struggling. You've got to take an innovative approach, and that's what you're doing. You've got to try something different because the same thing doesn't work. People are going to criticize you, and as a very famous guitarist said, and one of my heroes, Bo Diddley, for those of you to know, he said, before you accuse me of being ugly, take a look at yourself.
Thank you. On that note, thank you, Dean Williams.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the plan, and I've had 3 students go through this myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pass them. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Dean, I don't get a card.
And Mercedes.
You can earn one later on.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Buenas noches.
Good evening. Congratulations, first of all, for you, madam.
Thank you, thank you. Board members, President Lanier, Superintendent Neal, it is good to be here. I worked for this system for 30-plus years. My passion is the education of our students. It's my life. I have transformed, you're working on transformation, I have transformed my life in this new position that I was elected for. Almost 2 million people said Lupe should be on the State Board of Education. And Lupe has to be accountable. And that's the same thing with you. You were elected by the people, and you have to be accountable to the people. We have to provide public education that is going to be an education that gives that quality to the life of students. That when you go out there in the community, I don't care where I go, there will be someone that will come to me and say, Ms. Ramos, do you remember me? Of course I do. Everybody is a somebody. Everybody is contributing something to this community. And around the world, for that matter. I have many friends in Facebook that were former students of mine. Yes, we are accountable. And the teachers in this school district are the surgeons of this education. And we must keep that in mind as we proceed with the plan. Because you're not going to send somebody to perform surgery that is a nurse or an assistant. You're going to put the doctor that is qualified to perform that surgery to perform. And that's what we have to do in Grand Rapids Public Schools. So as you make your decision tonight, I'm not going to tell you that I am supportive or I am not supportive. It's your decision. You are accountable to the people of Grand Rapids. So with that, I give you my best. I hope that we can work, and I know we will, because all of you are friends of mine and colleagues of mine, and we will work together because the agenda in the state level, we had a press conference today with many educators in the state. And so we are very, very concerned. And I want you to be concerned because the picture does not look good. So with that, I thank you for your work. You're doing one fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a couple more names to come up. Amanda Brown, Azizi, Jasper, Joseph Jones. Come on down.
My name is Mercedes Tui, a longtime resident of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and a longtime supporter of Grand Rapids Public Schools. And board president, esteemed board members, and Superintendent Neal. It is wonderful to be here, and as we give congratulations, first of all, I'd like to congratulate all of us who have elected you to serve and come up with a plan. Also, as they request prayers for the Christian schools, the public schools, don't forget the Catholics as they go along, okay? As we're all praying together, please let's remember that. I would like to first of all congratulate all of you for the transparency of the work. It hasn't happened in a long time, and you don't know how wonderful it is to be able to sit at this table, and that I've sat many, many a times, usually with a lot of criticism. I'm able to sit at this table and say, I work together with you throughout this plan. I listened to what you were doing. I gave you my many, many negative things that I thought weren't good. But you know what? You all listen. So how wonderful it is to be able to sit here and say, we have elected people who were wise enough to select a wonderful superintendent who has ears and she actually listens. So for that, thank you very much. The Hispanic dropout rate is horrendous. Our children are really suffering. And unfortunately, the Hispanic dropout rate is also going to be the result of poor education, and all along, it's going to hurt the nation. We're the largest numbers growing in the school system. This plan, 1 minute, thank you. This plan is going to address that. Our children are attending Westwood Middle. They are attending Union High School, yet we're not seeing results. We need a change. For that change, we thank you. I have many parents who have called me and said, yes, let's do something. We want to work with all of you. And we, as professionals in the Hispanic community, are putting our names out here, call upon us, and we're here to help. So, changes have to be made. And as painful as they are, we all have one common denominator, and that is the success of our children. Great academic achievement, and you're all going to make it, because look at all of you. You're smart, we're smarter because we elected you, and you picked Superintendent O'Neill. So, my support to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Be in this chair. No, you can move the microphone over.
Oh, that one, yeah.
That one may work. That one may work.
Yeah,
it's on.
You know how you do when you sing in at church, Miss James. Just pull it up there.
It looks like it's gonna make it. There we go.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
To President Lanier, to the trustees, to Superintendent Neal. My name is Ellen James, and I've served on the board of Board of Trustees of Grand Rapids Community College for over 21 years. I've been keeping up to date with all of the heavy lifting that this board and administrators have been doing throughout this year. I know what it means to make tough decisions for a system. As you may know, the college has been doing some transforming ourselves. I would first like to commend Superintendent Neal for the great work that you have been doing on the transformation plan. I was really impressed to see how you hit the ground running, and you really have not stopped yet. I don't know if you've been even home lately. You have done an excellent job. You've done an excellent job. And what you have done is you have not only presented a plan, but you have taken the time to listen. And that is so important. And speaker after speaker has expressed that. You put a plan out, but you were willing to change that plan after hearing comments from citizens. I've had an opportunity to speak to so many people in the community, and I literally can't go very many places that I don't run into somebody that knows me. I was in the market in the North End this afternoon, and the lady came up and wanted to talk to me about something at the college, who'd never met me, but she knew I had something to do with the college. But the fact that you have taken the time to listen, and I've heard from just so many people, and what they're saying is it's a good plan. And I wanted to come tonight to convey that to you. I wanted to come tonight to convey that to this board, to tell you that even though you're closing schools, and you'll have to appreciate this because I graduated from South High School, and if you know the history of South High School, I still grieve because that school was closed. But I sit here tonight to tell you that I can support this plan, because I know that it is in the best interest of our children, and the fact that this community has been heard and have had an opportunity for the input. So, Superintendent Neal, you're exactly right when you say that we cannot afford to have pockets of success. We need to have a district-wide success for all of our children, not some of our children. All of our children can learn. Thank you. And just in closing, may I take personal privilege to thank Pastor Hoskins and also Ms. Geeson for the time and valuable time that they have put in, that they have shared with this community. I know it's been a gruesome time for you, but I want to tell you how much I appreciate it, and I know this community appreciates it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you. Want to call any more names before she starts?
Sorry?
Did you want to call any more names before she starts?
Okay, so far we have Amanda, Azizi, Joe Jones, Julie Neatling, and Bernice Legrone. And I think that brings us to the end of our pile. So come on down, those names that I called.
Amanda, I think you're first.
Hi, my name is Amanda Brown. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Thank you for listening, and I think I voted for all of you too.
I agree.
Keep that in mind, please. I just have a few things because I know 3 minutes goes fast. As we see with like the legislation in Michigan right now, and everywhere across the country, I'm very concerned with the privatization of our public schools. We've seen in other cities when we close our public schools, charter schools move in. The truth is our population really hasn't moved that much within the city. We're losing to charter schools. We've already closed 25 buildings in the last decade. We're closing 10 more now. When will it end? And I'm very concerned with the clause where it says about us opening charters as well. At many of the meetings, superintendent has said that this plan is about economic growth. The budget that it saves $2.5 million per year. If you consider my children's school, North Park, that is doing excellent, I know at least this number of children are going to leave and go to Northview or Comstock or Rockford or another North End school because they don't want to send them to a failing school when they're at an excellent school with wonderful teachers. So, if you look at the numbers, because I went to Creston, so I figured it out, that the per pupil spending is close to $7,000. That equals, what, see, I should know it, like 357 students. We only need 22 students from each of the affected schools to leave, of the 16 affected schools, and then we've lost $2.5 million right there. So to me, the economic growth part, I don't really understand. Also, the pockets of excellence, I don't feel we really are broadening everything. We're just making those pockets bigger. The kids that are affected seem to be lower income kids, kids that maybe their parents can't even get up there to transfer them because of resource issues or whatever. I better hurry up. Also, this plan, I know it was your board, but I know I've read in the minutes where it even says Dr. Bernard Taylor will ask the DeVos Family Foundation for the funds for the Cambridge report, which is used to justify most of these cool closing plans so far. Now, the DeVosses are one of the biggest opponents of public school, and we paid $400,000 for Bernard Taylor to leave. So I really hope you'll really think about what made this all come about. We see this happening even with the Bill Gates and other billionaires coming in and trying to take over our schools, and they're using them for profit. In Michigan, charter schools are for profit. I just think that reducing our schools, we're not going to be able to grow. And especially if that legislation goes through where they take our schools, why would we leave them vacant if they're just going to completely take them from us completely? So please just think about those things. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
Back like I never left. My name is Azizi Jasper. I'm a East Hills board member. I also am a community liaison for Link Rev, that has the Believe to Become program. In difficult times, difficult decisions need to be made. And in a city that's as small as Grand Rapids, even though a lot of us, like myself, have a big city chip on our shoulder, we're still very towny in our thought process as far as how our communities are supposed to be run. Just as the community is saddened and teachers are saddened by the decision. I know it shakes a lot of people on the board as well. I know Ms. Neal, you went to Creston, and Ms. Lanier, you as well. What I do appreciate in the midst of all the tough decisions is the leadership and the transparency that was shown by the board. Throughout the process, the entire plan was documented in detail for the public, and whether you agree or disagree, at least we were allotted the opportunity of making an educated decision. Not only did you tell us what your plans are, you also listened to the community and you considered our input, and for this, we thank you. It's good to have a board that's willing to make difficult decisions to ensure our pupils' education, but a board can only do so much. And the best school board in the world is nothing without the community that surrounds it. Schools aren't surrounded by houses by happenstance. Houses are built around schools, and neighborhoods are built around schools for a reason. There are too many people that say that they cannot send their kids to GRPS because of whatever condition they think that it's in. So they send their children to districts outside of our district. And it's not only a disinvestment in the school system, it's also a disinvestment in our neighborhoods. If you own a school as a neighborhood and you take responsibility for those, and you take responsibility for those students that go to that school, the school is going to reflect that. We do have examples of this. A good one is Congress Elementary, that East Hills has, and the neighborhood has kind of taken under its wing to ensure the quality of life for students. Until we get back to the model of the neighborhood school, no matter how world-class our board is, no matter how involved our teachers are, the conditions of our schools and educational worth of our institutions is going to suffer. We as a community have a bad habit of showing up to school board meetings like this one only once we're mad. I challenge our city to be more preemptive in its approach with our kids and their education. There is no use for Medical Mile and the specialized job that it brings if our community isn't equipping our schools with its tools that it needs to fill those jobs with GRPS students. And not just for the sake of tribalism, but because GRPS students are the best for the job. Stop complaining about the situation that we've created, and let's work together to support each other and this board, and most importantly, our children. And in closing, alumni need to step up, take a more active role. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, esteemed board members, Superintendent Neal. My name is Joseph Jones, and I am the interim president and CEO of your Grand Rapids Urban League. I am here on behalf of 30 pastors who are from various denominations as well as all four quadrants of the city. They've asked me to come and read a letter that they have authored. Dear Superintendent, Madam President, and esteemed board members, it is our hope this correspondence finds each and every one of you in good health and spirits. We are reaching out to you with the primary objective of saying thank you for your continued service to our community as representatives of the school board. How appropriate that this comes at a time of year when we reflect on the many reasons to be thankful for all that has been given to us. We are thankful not only for your dedication to the well-being of our children, but we also want to express our gratitude again for your decision to select Mrs. Teresa Neal to lead our district as permanent superintendent. As church leaders and engaged community stakeholders, we know firsthand the challenges that face our district. It is our belief that for the first time ever, residents of the core city have authentic choice in where their children will be educated. In years past, if a family didn't have reliable transportation and good fortune in being selected during a school choice lottery, the only option was GRPS. Many families have been led to believe that schools in outlying districts and charter schools are better than what GRPS has to offer. We don't believe this to be true. In fact, we believe that there are some great schools in GRPS and that there are some great charter schools as well as great private schools. The problem is, as Superintendent Neal has been quoted as saying, we have pockets of excellence, and that is unacceptable. We stand in support of the process that has been undertaken to hear from families in the district. We stand in support of Superintendent Neal and the work she has done since being promoted. We stand in support of her transformation plan, especially her willingness to make changes to her original plan after hearing from parents and families across the district. Many of us have long-standing relationships with schools that are being adversely affected. Yet we understand and know it's difficult making decisions of this magnitude. However, we believe you when you say the end goal is improving academic achievement for all children. We represent an enormous amount of students, families, teachers, administrators, and other district personnel by way of their membership at our respective churches. We will continue to hold accountable and keep an eye on the work of the board and the administration, and we will continue to advocate to our parents the importance of being engaged with their children's education. We're in this thing together, and we believe that GRPS has a real shot at defying the odds that exist for most urban school districts. We believe Superintendent Neal and you, the board, can turn this district around. We will continue to pray for your efforts, and we are committed to doing whatever it takes to make this district a success for all students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Julian Chernies.
I just put my name in so I'd know when we were almost done. No, I'm just kidding. I'm excited about a lot of the plan, especially the investment in Montessori, and I think that Creston will be a fantastic place for city. It's a beautiful building. I'm so glad you're not giving that up. Not just beautiful, but just a great building, from gargoyles to greenhouse to 2 gyms. And it's right across the street from my house. So for my property value's sake, I'm also very grateful that you're not giving up that building. And I've been very happy again with the process that you guys have taken, the listening, the responsiveness. I'm still somewhat disappointed in what I perceive as GRPS's, or this plan's, disinvestment in the Northeast side. But I get it, the Northeast side is disinvested in GRPS. The students have been, the families have been leaving. Some families don't know what their neighborhood school is. They don't care. They've already got plans for charters or another district. But that's changing, and there are schools. I know students or families at North Park that have commuted from Sparta just to go to North Park every day, commuted from over by the airport just to go to North Park. I've met students in Ottawa's district that bus over to Creston because they feel safer there, they feel they'll be more successful there. And families that have gone to Wellerwood are forever sold on early childhood education and early interventions. And I just want to maintain a capacity for that change. It's a big ship, it turns slowly. I also get that neighborhood high schools may be a thing of the past. Community based on geography is fading. People don't know their neighbors, and now we can choose schools according to our learning styles and our interests. And honestly, that's, to be honest, I think that's great. I've chosen my kids' schools according to their learning styles. So I get that too, but a physical presence still matters. Someone said we're not talking about buildings, but kind of we are. You know, just whether you know your neighbor or not, it's a lot better than a vacant house. Somebody there matters. It matters that you've got a neighbor. And if there's no high school that is open to all students on the Northeast side, it's frankly like a big middle finger. You're sealing the deal on this disinvestment to the Northeast side. And the commute that I don't know that I understand the plan completely, but the commute that I think you're proposing for our 3- and 4-year-old special needs students isn't acceptable, if I understand it correctly. And I don't know that I understand the plan correctly, because at first it looked like you listed all of the buildings and your repurposed, close, but this building isn't listed, so maybe I don't understand it. But I also want to thank you again for your listening, your responsiveness. I know you're not going to make everybody happy, but I know that your goal is to serve all the students, so I hope you continue to make choices that maintain and enhance the ability to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last but not least.
I like your shirt.
Hello, Mrs. O'Neill and Mrs. Lanier. I'm Sharnice LeGrone. As you all know, I'm a 10th grade student at Creston High School. I do disagree with some of this plan, but I would like to first congratulate you for being a great addition to our board, because the students are actually happy that we have someone who cares as much about us. First reason I disagree with this proposal is, to me, it feels as if they're saying city is better than us, so they get to have our building. And I'm saddened that we will have to leave probably, but I just thank God that the building is open and the history will still remain there. And My heart goes out to City. I hope they enjoy the building as much as I did if it does close. Another thing that I do agree with is this, the school uniforms. I agree with that. I was bullied a lot my elementary and middle school years, and most of it was because I wasn't wearing the right clothing that society wanted me to wear. And I think it would be great for them to wear school uniforms. So my sister and my younger brother won't have to feel what I had to when I was in that position. I do wish that you guys would reconsider keeping Creston students there, because there are some good students there who actually care. And to me, if you get rid of them, it makes me feel like you're saying that our achievements are good enough to be with City, and we are good enough. We may not be up where City is academically right now, but I know if we push ourselves, we can. And I just want to say thank you again for joining our board, and thank you for listening to me.
Okay. Thank you for all of you who gave public comment. We'll move forward with our agenda items. Secretary's report.
Okay, thanks, Sharnice, for making me cry.
Someone else to read it?
No. Okay, Secretary's report. Well, I might not make it through this. Angel Tree Donations Collection Site. The GRPS Administrative Office is an official site for the Angel Tree. The collection of toys and gift cards will run until December 18th, 2012. Please take one or more tags from the holiday tree in the lobby. Here's your chance, all you people leaving, grab a tree, grab a tag. And purchase a gift appropriate for age and gender on the tag selected. Return the unwrapped gift to the Grand Rapids Public Schools Administration and give it to the receptionist of the lobby for secure delivery. The Angel Teen Campaign is also an option. Donate gift cards and give to a receptionist for secure delivery. All gifts should be unwrapped and have an Angel Tree Toy Drive tag securely attached to them upon return. Thanks for considering participating and bringing joy to children in this holiday season. Second announcement is regarding the Giants Awards and Banquet. Tickets have been ordered for the board table to the Giants Awards and Banquet number 31, celebration and presentation. Wow. The event will take place Saturday, January 26th at 6 p.m. Proceeds will benefit the Student Scholarship Fund. Please RSVP to Julie Anderson in the superintendent's office before January 11th. And just an FYI, the GRCC Bob and Alicia Woodrick Diversity Learning Center is sponsored the table. Thank you.
Superintendent Neal.
At this time, I stand by the transformation proposal that I submitted to you, so I have no further update.
Any questions for Superintendent Neal regarding Dr. Baker?
Yeah, I have a few questions. Just one. Just wanted a quick comment. This, I mean, maybe I don't need to say this, but I want to. So, this plan has nothing to do with Bernard Taylor. All right, this is reversing some of the most errant decisions that he made. One is closing stocking. This is going to put lots of kids back in front of teachers instead of computers. So, and it's something that many people in this room fought with us on to make possible. So anyway, that being said, I also heard the concern about Teach for America, especially, and also the alternative charter schools. And I do want to ask some questions on that. I don't want this to become a referendum on Teach for America, and I don't think it is at this point. And so if Superintendent Neal, you can talk about exactly how a process of bringing in Teach for America might be possible if it happens.
The proposal that I have submitted to Michigan Department of Education is to look at possibilities of working with Teach for America. Currently, Union High School is at the bottom 1% in the entire state of schools on the lowest priority list. Union High School did receive SIG dollars, about $6 million, and we have not closed the achievement gap. Therefore, I am asking the state to allow us to use a turnaround model, which would allow 50% of the staff members in that building to stay. And I am also looking at the possibility of working with Teach for America, and I've not worked out the details. I did have a meeting with representatives from Teach for America, but that is, to me, that is an option. What is not an option is that we continue to go down the same path. We did the turnaround, the transformation model, you guys, with $6 million, and we still are at the bottom 1%. It is not acceptable. And so I am now asking the state to allow me to present a turnaround model. In my heart, I believe that it's the right thing to do. I am willing to work with all members of that staff to create a process, as well as with the governor's board, to select staff members to stay. But what is not an option, again, I say, is to continue down that path. Many of us in this room, if our children were at Union High School, we would not accept that. And I'm saying we need to do the right thing. We do have very qualified staff members. I get that. I understand that. But I'm saying as a team, we must come together and do what is right by these children. Is it going to mean that there will be some members that have to select a different location? Absolutely. Absolutely. That is what comes along with this plan. And I get that we are emotionally tied to a building. And someone talked about highly qualified. And I want to address that. Highly qualified. We have teachers that are very, very qualified in this district. However, we are still at 1%. Where would you want your children? It's as simple as that, you guys. I have to do something. And I said in the beginning, I could take the low-hanging fruit and close Union. Would you want 1,800 students bused across town? You wouldn't. You would not. I was not willing to put that proposal through to the board. I believe there is room for us to work together with the members that are currently at Union High School, as well as new people coming in. It is a long process because the plan with the state will not allow me to move members from a school, Union, Westwood, or Alger, to another school that is on the priority list. So I don't have the details. I have asked GREA to submit a plan to me. I asked them last week or week before last, and they are yet to submit the plan. I'm sure that is coming on a process to move teachers. I will also work with other union leaders to move those staff members. But everyone in the building, every person in the building, including the custodial staff, right? Secretaries. The plan is for 50%, and it doesn't just mean GREA members. Union, Westwood, as well as Alger, and I stand by that plan. Follow up?
Yeah, if Teach for America did become part of this, what would the process be for them to be included, and would the board be included in that decision?
The board would be included because you would have to vote to hire anyone. So it's a regular process.
Okay. So I guess what I'm getting at one level, what I'm getting at here is that, and we haven't talked about this, and I haven't talked about the other issue, but I think that I would want a lot more information and would probably have a problem with Teach for America being brought in. I don't think that that's a surprise to people, but I think that, and I think that some of the issues that are raised nationally in terms of how they've done is an issue. But yet, again, I haven't needed to look into them very seriously. I'd like to support this plan, but I don't want to, by voting for this plan, to be voting for Teach for America. And that's why I say I don't want that to be a referendum. I know that we also discussed the issue of charter schools. I did discuss that, and that is by no means supporting this plan, is a plan to put charter schools.
That's correct.
So,
But it is part of the plan that I asked for is to study the secondary plan, which could include charter schools. That is what I asked for.
This is a different comment, and this is related to the discussion about City and Creston students. And I ended up spending a lot of time at Creston this weekend with City students and getting a perspective. And how students come up with these perspectives, they're very real. And so your perspective that City students are not better than Creston students. And I mean, that's just absolutely true. So we got to make sure that that's not an issue. And I think that there are some concerns that are being shared amongst them. We really need to make sure that we're addressing that, because I don't want any children to feel that they're being displaced because they're not as good as other children. So anyway, that's our work. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Oh, actually, just on that though, I was Ms. Neal, if you would maybe speak to that a little bit about the coexisting of current City students, current Crescent students and City High School. I guess first of all, I think people should realize that initially the plan called for no one being in City. It wasn't a matter of displacing Creston for City. It was a matter of opportunity, I guess, for City, that when that building was going to be empty, it made sense to put someone in that building for the sake of the community. And obviously, City just happened to be a good fit. But along those lines, though, if you could maybe elaborate to Ms. LeGrone and others to help them understand the difficulty with current Crescent students, not necessarily being in the building with City students. Of course, they can coexist, but the logistics behind the sharing of teachers and things like that, and why that would present a problem.
Currently, City is a test-in program, and Creston is not. However, this process does not exclude any student at Creston High School from applying to be a member of City High School. If the board would like, I can look at ways of how do we phase students in for the City program. We can pull the test scores and see where students are and give them preference into City. I mean, we can work out whatever is necessary, but currently the City program is a test-in and Creston is not. And it simply comes down to maintaining the current integrity of the City program. But that does not exclude students from applying. That's one. And then the second is, and I have not done this, but for any student at Creston High School that is interested in attending City High, I can pull those scores specifically and allow them to rise to the top. I just had not thought about that.
And secondly, though, even keeping the Creston cohort together, the current 9th, 10th, and 11th graders, and have them operate as they do within City Middle at Creston High. Logistically speaking, it's my understanding that would also present some problems as far as teacher resources, because those IB teachers at City having some difficulty in the collaboration that's done right now with GRPS and regular students, teachers at City. I mean, Creston.
Logistically, that would create a problem because there are even two different requirements for those teachers. And Creston is not a building that I can separate one house from the other, like at Ottawa Hills High School. And so students would be mixed in together, sharing a teacher. So that would create a problem. But what would not create a problem is to look at the individual test scores and increase the enrollment of city, because Creston is, as we've talked about, was built for 1,397 students.
Okay, you done? Dr. Fowle?
Just a couple things. First of all, and out of Finance Committee, I raised some questions regarding some of the costs of the transformation plan and where those costs were going to come from. So I'm thinking that the work session would probably be a really good place to go over those. So I just wanted to follow up on that. And also, a couple times now, I've asked questions regarding enrollment, where we are determining the students are going to be coming from in the expansion of the K-8s. So that too might be a good thing to look at more closely and in detail. I don't know if Susan Heineck or whatever. I just want to see that sort of work that's been done to sort of see exactly where those students are coming from and make sure we're not cannibalizing our own programs, and we do have a really good basis for expansion of those two programs. So hopefully Monday we can go over that. I also want to thank everybody who spoke tonight and throughout this process, both the concerns, the criticisms, and the support. They're all very valued by this board. I know they are. I want to speak specifically to those teachers addressing their concerns regarding Teach for America. When I saw that on that plan, I'm like, I wonder if any teachers wonder if the GREAs could have come forward, and hadn't heard anything, so it was no big surprise when I finally did. I'm very respectful and sympathetic to the values behind your concerns with Teach for America. We're at a strange time where we're asking for a deeper professionalization of the teaching profession. We're asking for a high level of accountability and development with teachers, which I think is appropriate. I think it's very difficult work, both skill-wise and ethically, and so I think we need to ask for that. And Teach for America seems to be counter to that. So I'm very sympathetic with that. I want you to also consider the fact that we are introducing a lab school through Ferris and GVSU, which very much supports the values you're talking about, understanding that you need to have training right on the ground in the schools, theory and practicum hand in hand, and this administration sees that, and they are leading the way for really rigorous work in that area. A handful of bright-eyed students coming from top universities that become GREA members, I don't know if that'll upset the apple cart. It just might infuse a little bit of great energy, but I think it needs to be preceded with the values that you bring to the table concerning professionalization. That's certainly values that I share.
Anyone else? Questions, comments regarding the plan? The T, anyone? Go ahead.
I was going to say this for my closing comments, but you know, it's really remarkable to see this group of people that have spoken. A lot of people that were here aren't anymore, but because this has been a community of people involved in education, and so people that have spoken tonight have spoken over the years in different ways. And Mercedes, I guess, is not here anymore. It's really interesting, her comments about you know, praising her and the people in the audience for being so smart for electing us. And she knew that that was very much true because she's worked on behalf of many of us up here. And so have the other people who've spoken tonight. And so I think that it's what I feel very positive about. In fact, you know, I can name them, but I won't. I think they know who they are. And that, which has led to Superintendent Neal sitting here tonight. And I think that it's really remarkable that we're a part of a community that are engaged in this process. And so the greatest triumph is the praise directed towards the fact that we have a superintendent who hears and is working through this stuff. So anyway, I appreciate that, and this is really hard. So.
No action items. Next, we have our consent agenda grouping.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support. Who is support? Thank you.
Hoskins.
O'Connor.
Yes.
Randalls.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Falb.
Yes.
Geetson, yes. Hoskins.
Yes.
President Lanier.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Next, we have the discussion item, the legislative update.
You and I'll be brief.
You got your old partners in the audience there talking about you.
Joe and Joe.
This is the hard part.
At your work session on Monday is when we plan to bring back the full platform for your review. We presented to both the Finance and the Academic Achievement Committees. So the update really is that we've been working very aggressively in Lansing on the EAA codification. The good news is that the amendment that we drafted is being inserted into the substitute in the House. And on the Senate side, the language that we were concerned about, the property takings, has been completely stripped out. Thanks to Senator Judy Emmons, who's one of our West Michigan delegation members. She wasn't able to join us last Friday at the legislative lunch, but she's also one of the delegation who have been working very closely with GRPS, who see the vision, see our approach to advocacy, and have gone to bat for us. So relatively, it's trending in the right direction. The EA, I mean, we've been told it's got legs, it's going to pass, but it is right now trending in the right way with the property language coming out and with our criteria going in that would really talk about, again, quality, and districts like ours that are demonstrating proactively and how to strengthen and improve the academics, as well as being good fiscal stewards. Those will be factors that would be part of the EAA takeover consideration.
Any questions? Dr. Fall?
I know we've had this conversation privately, but I want to say it publicly that, and I know we've talked about this as a board, that accountability for the EAA seems to be so essential for any integrity with this bill. There's high accountability for districts, as there should be, and for failing schools. But that same accountability, if we are truly concerned about the education of children, that needs to have the same accountability for the EAA and some exit strategy. So
and I failed to mention the two other things that were, and this is one that we really started to jump on late. We first worked on our amendment last week, but the other is they're looking for language. They've actually asked us to say if you have language for accountability for the EA, as well as the exit strategy for district schools that are taken over, and then within a period of time they're able to move off the 5%. What is the exit strategy? And that has been a moving target in the legislation. So we are now engaging in that. Representative Lyons has her bill up tomorrow. And the trick, of course, is we know that these are on the fast track. And so we're going to continue to push to get that language in there. And I know Rusty will be on the ground tomorrow.
No, I did. It is my understanding that they're going by AYP qualifications. Has there been any other discussion regarding defining failing schools beyond bottom 5%?
Yeah, the student growth model is one that's been got a lot of discussion that looks at not just the one-size-fits-all measurements like a MEP or an MME, which right now those are double weighted for schools that are to determine the top to bottom list. The MME and the MEP are actually double weighted compared to those student growth targets and some other factors, and so we're really pushing to flip that model the other way around. Those standardized one-size-fits-all test scores are really not representative of growth. They were never intended for that, and we are one of a number of districts that actually use the NWEA MAP scores 3 times a year, and gives a very accurate reflection of where the student is at, and then what their growth targets are and what progress they're making toward those targets. And there seems to be a fair amount of support for including that. The question is will they do that in lame duck or not? And we're at the table. We are actively working with them for those changes.
Any other questions regarding the legislative platform or legislative updates? Great, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
We do not have any public comment cards for non-agenda items. If there's one, you can hold those up.
You just can't wait. just let them take one of those chairs.
3 minutes. Let's do 3 minutes. At 3 minutes.
Just 3 minutes.
Well, we can stop you right now.
Yeah. This will all change soon.
All the time you want.
As a David LeGrand and almost a board member, I wanted to talk about a couple things and wanted to preface this by saying that at this point I'm sort of hybrid because I'm also almost a board member, but also City High parent. And what I want to talk about is, and I want to preface this by saying that I think that there's been a lot of talk about listening, and I've been listening myself, and a couple of things that resonated with me that I think deserve emphasis is a little bit of honesty about the potential dynamic for loss of enrollment, making a lot of this saving potentially illusory. I think that's something that is not to be taken lightly. And the reason I want to point that out is that I also have, as a default preference or a value, I tend to think that meaningful communities are probably the successful way to organize the school system. And that means that I'm very strongly in favor of what I think is a trend that maybe hasn't been pointed out, at least while I've been attending recently, and that is that we seem to be building a system with a bunch of small high schools. So we've been talking as though there are 2 high schools on the horizon here. In fact, there are more like 10. I mean, I counted them up once and I got maybe 11. There's a potential Montessori High School. There's a potential medical high school. There's the GRPS High School. There's potential C.A. Frost High School in the works. There's City High. There's the Arts IB High School, all in the offing, in addition to Creston and Union. Now, that being said, I think that those are all very positive things, and I think that's absolutely the direction that we should be moving in terms of the high school experience. The reason I say that, this is all sort of layered here, but the reason I say that is because I initially was in favor of the plan as drafted, and I have changed my mind in this respect. I would like this board to, I am in favor of adopting this plan with the exception of the plan for the city Creston part. And I think that this board ought to adopt the plan with that excised. And I think so because I do not think there has been enough careful discussion and analysis, at least on the public level, of the possibility of continuing Creston in that building. And I say that as somebody who initially was not in favor of that option. But as I listen and as I've thought about this and as I've tried to take into account community feedback, I understand there's been some reference to, and I think it's worth saying, that there's been some resistance from City High parents to the thought of having these 2 populations in the same building. And I'm a City High parent. I don't have that resistance at all. I do think that it's very important that we frankly talk publicly about how much it would cost to keep Creston and City in that same building, to talk about what the concerns are, to have some town meetings.
Dave, I got in trouble with my colleagues last time, so I really need to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Well,
last time it was 6 minutes, and I heard about it.
Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
For the next
motion to suspend the rules.
Support.
Thank you.
There needs to be a vote.
Go ahead, vote.
Sorry.
I'll let for some minutes.
O'Connor,
Yes.
Randalls,
No.
Ross,
No.
Slade,
No.
Baker,
Yes.
Falb,
Yes.
Geetson, no. Hoskins,
No.
President Lanier.
No. Thank you. No other cards came up? Did you get any other cards? Okay. Superintendent comments?
No comments.
We lost Destiny and I don't blame her. Mr. Ross, we'll start with you then.
Comment.
No comment.
Ethan?
I just wanted to say thank you for the wonderful outpouring of feedback about the plan. That's it.
Dr. Baker?
Yes, it was very nice to have so many people participate tonight, and so many people I know that care about the schools, the teachers, the community members. And I am the state, the climate that we're making this decision in. So one is that the idea, I think that we need to make this decision regardless of what's happening in Lansing. So and so postponing it because of what's happening in Lansing. Lansing doesn't need to have any more say into what's happening here. I do, actually, to some extent, for that reason, I am more troubled about what's. I think that Lansing is taking away choice, and it's certainly taking away choice from us as a district. And I think that's what it's about. And for that reason, I'm also more concerned about the idea of the Teach for America component, because I think that it might be seen as attractive, and I think that the state could ask us to consider it and impose it on us in some ways, and I don't want us as a board to lose that discussion, and I think that it probably would be a real discussion, but I don't want us to lose it, and I hope I'm wrong if that ends up happening. But anyway, it was a really fantastic week, a couple of weeks for Grand Rapids in terms of this community. So this community tonight, moving the, I have to say this to we shift the things to more positive things. That Kurt Johnson